lift yourself.
Oh.
Just come on again.
Oh yeah, it's just broke. Yeah.
Jai Suparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Radha Govinda Jiu Ki Jai Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jiu Ki Jai Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai Jai Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupa Anuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sada Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Jai Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Upadesha Amritam Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Brindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali. At the lotus feet of my most worshipful beloved Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata, Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipful beloved Siksha Gurudevs. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, and my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis. Sri Upadeshamrita by Srila Rupa Goswami, and this extra booklet by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is separately printed. Actually, there's an ISKCON printing of it. It's called Bhakti Aloka. But this Bhakti Aloka has 12 chapters, and these are the essays that Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote for the two verses, second verse and third verse of Upadeshamrita, which are describing the six favorable, first of all the six unfavorable principles to bhakti, and then the six favorable principles. So we have this included in our edition of Sri Upadeshamrita. The entire 12 chapters is at the end as an appendix of the Upadeshamrita book, published and printed by our Gaudiya Vedanta publications, written by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. So, we have been reading the explanation of the fourth principle, favorable principle for bhakti, which is called Tat Karma Pravartanat. First is Utsaha, means enthusiasm. Utsaha. You know the others?
Let's see. Utsaha. I know it. What's it?
Nishchayat.
Nishchayat.
Daryat. Those are the first three. Utsahan, Nishchayat, Daryat. Then comes Tat Karma Pravartanat. So the first one is enthusiasm. Utsaha. Second, Nishchayat, means firm conviction. Third one, Daryat, which means patience and also perseverance. Then comes Tat Karma Pravartanat, which we are studying this chapter. Means to perform all favorable activities for bhakti. What are those activities of bhakti that are favorable? The 64 limbs of bhakti. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur is now describing each one of these 64 limbs. We're up to the fourth one at the present time. We've already studied the first three. So after Tat Karma Pravartanat, then comes the last two favorable activities for bhakti. What are they? Sangatyagat. What does that mean?
Association with sadhus.
It's the opposite. Sangha Tyagat. Tyag means renouncing, giving up. Sangha Tyagat, although it's giving up what is unfavorable, but that activity of Sangha Tyagat, of giving up all unfavorable association for bhakti, all unfavorable Sangha, that is a positive principle for the Vaishnavas. Then the last principle, which we'll be reading, Sato Vritte. And Sato Vritte actually it has a couple of different shades of meaning. One of them, Srila Prabhupada translated it as straightforward dealings. Always very honest, straightforward, simple-hearted dealings. But it also means, sato vritte means to actually follow in the footsteps of the pure Vaishnavas. How they have lived, how they have done. So those are the six. Those are the six. And we're on the fourth one, tat karma pravartanat. And we're in the midst of reading the 64 principles, which are of course mentioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and also Srila Rupa Goswami has written those 64 principles in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is the guidebook for devotional service, for the devotees who want to attain perfection in bhakti and eventually taste bhakti rasa and attain Krishna prema. That is the guidebook written by Rupa Goswami. What he heard from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, just to recap a little bit, yesterday we were reading the second and third items, the necessity of performing Guru Seva and accepting Diksha. Those are the second and third items. But the first item was taking shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Guru, right? You remember? And so the second and third are the necessity of performing Guru Seva. That's the second item. And then the third one is accepting Diksha. So we read about that. I'm not going to go over that. But he made one point, that Dhruva Maharaj, he went to Vaikuntha, to Dhruvaloka, in his self-same material body. So some persons may try to say, well, he didn't have a guru, but actually he did. Narada Muni. Narada Muni gave him mantra. But the point is that the general rule is that when the living entity gives up his material body, he goes to Vaikuntha in his spiritual body. And he asks the question before this that Sri Dhruva Maharaj went to Dhruvaloka in his material body. So upon hearing about this, should everyone then hope and wait to return to Dhruvaloka in their material body? Because Dhruva went? No. So the general rule is that when the living entity gives up his material body, then he goes to Vaikuntha in his spiritual body. So common people, and he's ending this section by saying, common people obtain their welfare when they follow the general rules. That's how they advance and that's how they benefit. So whenever Bhagavan, who is full of inconceivable potencies, whenever he desires something, it surely happens. When Bhagavan desires. Therefore, we must never transgress the general rules, and rather, after pleasing Sri Gurudev and by serving him without duplicity, one should indubitably accept initiation into Bhagavan Nam and Bhagavan Mantra and so on. And accept also instructions, siksha, on the Absolute Truth. So that's his explanation of those second and third principle. Now the fourth principle, sadhu marga anugamana. This means following in the footsteps of sadhus. So this is one of the 64 principles, and it's also one of the 6 favorable. Following in the footsteps of sadhus. Fortunate disciples. You have to be a fortunate disciple. There's a lot of disciples, but amongst them, some are fortunate. So fortunate disciples, after receiving initiation and instructions from a bona fide spiritual master, they will follow the path of the sadhus. So it requires that one is fortunate, because they will come to realize and understand, I have to do this. And they're very very determined then to do that. But there are so many that come and they don't have this good fortune to understand that this is the very process through which I'll attain perfection, and they don't follow. So, the fortunate disciples will follow the path of the sadhus. Only proud persons disobey the Mahajans, and they concoct new ideas. How does that come about in the material world? That what the Mahajans have told, which is perfect, absolutely perfect, they know the supreme absolute truth, the Mahajans. So what they have spoken is perfect. But only persons who are very proud, they will disobey the Mahajans and they'll concoct new ideas. They will not stick to the Mahajans. Just like Srila Sri Yudhishthira Maharaj in the Mahabharata, he told very important instruction. He said, Mahajano yena gata sapanta. He said, it is very difficult to determine dharmasya tattva. What is the supreme dharma, the truth of dharma in this world? Dharmasya tattvam. He says, nihitam guhayam. It is extremely confidential. It is very confidential to understand what is the path of dharma in this world. So, dharmasya tattvam. What is the truth? Nihitam guhayam. Guhayam, it means very confidential, very secret. So, who knows that? Mahajano yena gata sapanta. The Mahajans, they know this truth, and those who will follow the pathway that they have directed. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. Panta means pathway. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj was being asked, what is the path? I don't know if you remember, but in the Mahabharata there was that section where he had to answer these various questions, you know. And one of the questions was, what is the path? So he said that one cannot determine this just by logic, trying to use one's material intelligence. No. The only way to understand what the path is Mahajano yena gata sapanta. What pathway they have followed. So we have seen this in all of our gurus, in all of our Guru Varga. They have not tried to concoct anything. They have perfectly followed their Guru and his instructions, and therefore they are in the Guru, Rupanuga Guru disciplic succession. So only proud persons disobey the Mahajans and they concoct new ideas. As a result, they very soon become the cause of their own ruination. What does that mean? They did not agree to follow the path that was given by the Mahajans. They disobeyed. They concocted their own new ideas. And what is the result? They caused their own ruination. Having traversed the inauspicious path. So the whole section, remember we talked about what is auspicious one day. But they have followed the inauspicious path by not following the previous Mahajans, footsteps of the sadhus. Now, in the Skanda Purana, it is mentioned, here's a verse. Sa mrigya shreyasam hetu panta santapa varjita anavapta shramam purve yena santak pratashtire. This means the eternal path, upon which the sadhus have traversed since previous times, that path is alone auspicious for us. There is no other path. Right? I think we can understand that as struggling Vaishnavas in this world, that our good fortune always comes when we adhere and we submit and very humbly we follow the instructions given by Guru, Sadhus, Shastra. Right? So, this eternal path upon which the sadhus have traversed since previous times is alone auspicious for us. By following the path of the Mahajans, one attains determination, valor, and fulfillment. That's really good, isn't it? You become determined, you get determination. You become very valorous. What does valor mean? It means heroism, you know.
Like courage too.
Like what?
Courage. Like
Courage, valor, boldness, courage, and fulfillment. That's why we're devotees. Because we want fulfillment in our lives. And everyone is searching for that, are they not? Hmm? Even the demons, those who have gone very far away from Supreme Lord, they've gone very far away, but they're still searching also for fulfillment. Unfortunately, their fulfillment is always at the cost of others' suffering. It's the nature of the demons. They want everything for themselves. So, but real fulfillment can only come when we follow what is the desire of the Supreme Lord. That's the only way for the jiva to become fulfilled. And that desire comes down through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastras to us and all over the universe. So the fortunate jivas, they'll be directed. Krishna's in the heart. He's directing to the sincere, fortunate jivas to come in contact, to hear this knowledge, and to embrace this in their life. He goes on, when we follow the path of bhajan traversed by Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatan, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and Sri Haridas Thakur, what do we experience? We experience a happiness beyond description. You see? How? By following the path of bhajan that has been traversed by Rupa Sanatan, Raghunath Das, Haridas Thakur. Then we experience a happiness beyond description. What did Haridas Thakur say when he was beaten by the Muslim miscreants in order to induce him to give up the chanting of Harinam? This is actually prior to his sentencing. It is at the time when he's standing in front of this Muslim magistrate and he's going to be sentenced. And then they threatened him. They said to him, well, we will have to then give you this punishment if you don't agree and you don't again take up your Muslim lifestyle, right, and become a Muslim again. Oh, then you'll have to be beaten to death in 22 marketplaces. So he's asking the question, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is asking, what did Haridas Thakur say when he was beaten by the Muslim miscreants in order to induce him to give up the chanting of Harinam? He said, I know there's a verse, Kanda Kanda something. He said, even if my body is cut into pieces and Jai Jadi Pran, my life leaves this body, even if that occurs, that my whole body is cut into pieces and my life force leaves this body, I will never give up Harinam. And then Haridas Thakur said, Oh Krishna, these misguided jivas who are beating me, They are not slightly at fault. Please forgive them and be merciful to them. Understand? We have our Jesus Christ figure also. Many. So having such determination, constantly chanting Harinam with compassion at heart for all living entities is the path of bhajan exhibited by the previous Mahajans. This is it. To have such determination in constantly chanting Harinam with compassion in the heart for all living entities. This is the path of bhajan exhibited by the previous Mahajans. There is no new path to be invented. Is there a new path to be invented, Jai Govinda Prabhu? What about anybody else hiding there in the back? Is there a new path to be invented? No. Sadhus always follow only the known path that has already been established. However, persons full of false pride and who desire prestige, they make further endeavors to invent newer paths. Have we seen this in our life? We sure have. Even the greatest devotees come. Yet, persons who have these defects of pride, they want false prestige. Therefore, they endeavor to invent newer paths. So, it is due to great fortune that people develop faith in the path of the previous Mahajans. Right? It's not an ordinary thing, is it? For a jiva to get a human body, come in contact with this knowledge and this process, and then they develop very great faith in this path of the previous Mahajans. Why does that happen to these people? Because they've attained great fortune, to become fortunate.
So Maharaj, is that fortune like mercy that comes?
Of course, yeah. But it comes in the form of their fortune manifesting. To come in contact with the Vaishnavas, we've already read that it's by good fortune that they can develop faith in this, right? We've read that in a number of ways already. This is the form of Krishna's mercy and Guru's mercy that enables them to get Shraddha in their heart and have faith in the process, because they're fortunate. Not everyone is fortunate. Because, you know the verse, I quoted it a couple of times in the last few days, the verse spoken by Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami, where he's describing to Rupa that all the living entities who are in this universe, all of them, they're all wandering. Brahmanda Brahmite. Brahmite means to wander. So that's the story of our lives. And not just our life, millions of lives. Of every living entity. It's the truth. It's actually the truth. And that's what we have to learn to have very, very deep faith in this fact. That we have been saved after millions of lifetimes of wandering. It is by the will of Krishna and Guru. Combined mercy together. Because Mahaprabhu says, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. That means Pai means that he's attained Guru Krishna Prasad, the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And as a result of obtaining that mercy, he becomes fortunate. Bhagyavan Jeev. And then that fortune is manifested in the form of receiving the Bhakti Lata Beach, the seed of the creeper of bhakti. And then there are so many descriptions, the whole science of bhakti, and how this manifests first in the form of Shraddha. And how can one tell that one has Shraddha? Oh, because he wants to follow the path of the previous acharyas. He's ready to submit to the actual path given by them, which means take shelter of true Guru, Sri Guru, hear instructions from him, associate with sadhus, take initiation, and follow the path of the previous acharyas. So, after faith arises, that means Shraddha, after that arises, such persons, they give up their pride and they start walking that path. Right? So Shraddha is the most essential ingredient here. How do you know? How does someone know that they have Shraddha? How can someone determine someone that has Shraddha?
Like following the guidance of...
No, but there's symptoms that you can see in those persons that they possess this Shraddha. There's one very key factor. It's called Krishna Seva Vasana. Vasana means desire. Desire to serve Krishna is the dawning of Shraddha. And that desire to serve Krishna is manifested outwardly as Sharanagati, surrender. Doing all things favorable for bhakti, 6 limbs of Sharanagati. So after faith, Shraddha arises, then such persons give up their pride. They give up their pride and they start walking that path. Those who are unfortunate, they will concoct a new path and they will cheat themselves as well as others. In many ways, the scriptures have cautioned against associating with such persons. And here's the 2 verses from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in which this is discussed. Cautioning against associating with such persons who are full of pride and they're concocting all new things. So here's the 2 verses. The first one of these is very well known. Prabhupada used to quote it quite a bit. Here's the verse. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatai Vakalpate. Second verse. Bhaktir Aikantiki Veyam Avicharat Pratiyate Vastu Tastu Tata Naiva Yad Ashastriyat Yad Ashastriya Te Kashyate. Yad Ashastriya Te Kashyate. So, the purport is that the path of bhakti is of 2 types. What 2 types is the path of bhakti? 2 types of bhakti. Vaidhi? Yes. Vaidhi and Raganuga. According to their respective qualifications, the Mahajans have themselves followed these 2 paths. The Shastras such as the Shruti, the Smriti, Pancharatra, they are filled with descriptions of these 2 paths of bhakti. What is the Shruti? What is called Shruti? Shruti, Smriti, and Pancharatra. What are the Shruti? It's good you're here, you're learning so many things. The Shrutis are the original Vedas and the Upanishads. There are 2 sides of Vedic scriptures. One is called Shruti. It means that which is heard, Shruti. and smriti, that which is remembered. So the original 4 Vedas, you know, there are 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. So those plus the Upanishads, and there are a few hundred Upanishads, they're all the philosophical principles of the Vedas. The Upanishads are. Those 2 are called Shruti. There are certain persons and certain lines in India that will only accept Shruti as evidence. They'll not accept Smriti. But the pure Vaishnavas in the 4 Vaishnava lines of disciplic succession, you know what those are? Those are Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbaditya. So they all accept Smriti as well. Not all Smriti. What is Smriti? Smriti means all of the Puranas. Puranas, Itihasas. Itihasas means histories. And Pancharatra, like Narada Pancharatra. There are various books in the category of Pancharatra. So this is called Smriti. Srimad Bhagavatam is in the category of Smriti. All because Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the Bhagavat Purana. It's one of the Puranas. So that's why certain people in India, they won't accept Srimad Bhagavatam as evidence, because they only accept the Shruti.
Like the Vedanta people, I think they don't.
Well, Vedanta, yeah, Vedanta is written by Vyasadeva as the commentary on all of the philosophical sections of the Vedas. What he's done is he's taken all of those philosophical conceptions found in the Upanishads and various other Vedic literatures, and he's condensed them into small little aphorisms, more than 500, which are indicating a philosophical truth. So it's called Vedanta, means the end of all Vedic knowledge, the end, the conclusion of Vedic knowledge. But he wasn't satisfied after he wrote that, you remember. Then he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the actual commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author. Right? So, now he's explaining that all the Shastras, the Shruti, Smriti, Pancharatra, they're all filled with descriptions of these 2 paths of bhakti, the path of Vaidhi and Raganuga. They're all filled with descriptions of these 2 types of bhakti. Now the new paths, discovered by Buddha, Dattatreya, and others, who rejected the path of bhakti shown by these scriptures, they will be renowned until the end of time only for creating disturbances. So most people don't know that. Ordinary people, who are a little bit attracted to Buddhism, this, that. But they don't know. They don't have any philosophical background to understand how these new paths have been concocted and they've deviated from the actual path of the Vedas. So that will be the result. They'll be renowned until the end of time only for creating disturbances. And when Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes this, he's writing this with his own experience in India in the 1800s and early 1900s, okay, during the British time, and how the general public can so easily be misled. Yes. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Radha Vinod Bihari Radha Govinda Ji Ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri. So, although those who traverse these new paths, they advertise them as being one-pointed, Hari Bhakti. The ones who are traversing the new paths that are concocted, they are advertising them as being Aikantiki Bhakti. That means one-pointed Bhakti to Hari. Okay? So they're advertising, yes, we have Aikantiki bhakti, one-pointed. But in reality, their doing so only indicates their ignorance. The path exhibited in Shastras, like the Vedas, is the one and the only true path. Nowadays, many new paths are being invented, but ultimately they disappear along with their acharyas. And this has gone on for hundreds and thousands of years. This is the first time that I'm feeling warm to the extent I'm actually taking off my sweater. That's not usual for me. Okay, we'll see how long I last. Okay. So, what happens to those new paths that are being invented? Now, he's saying nowadays, but that nowadays is also now. Can you name some of them? You have a lot of experience going around and meeting different groups of people who are on a spiritual path or yoga or this and that, right?
Yeah, there's so many.
Right. And what is the nature of those?
Completely dry and there's no substance. Like when I ask them, so what is the essence of your philosophy?
Yeah.
They just say it's all about love, but
Yeah.
they have no like consistency to
Right.
yeah.
And the reason for that is what? Why are they in such a condition?
Because they don't have like a real lineage.
Exactly. And the person who is the originator of what they're following also doesn't have any knowledge.
Right.
So that's the condition. Of course, we know that there are many jivas that come into such groups. And many of them, they have some sincerity, isn't it? They have some sincerity. And they may, at some point, upon hearing real, true knowledge in a submissive way, they may then come onto the proper pathway. There's always some possibility. But as we observe, actually, most of them will not do that. Why? What's the reason?
Because they're misguided.
That's true, but why do they allow themselves to continue to be misguided, even if they have the opportunity to hear the actual truth? What's the defect that we find in them? I can say, they actually are willing to be cheated. Why does a person become willing to be cheated? Well, of course we know Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has told. We heard this from our Prabhupada also. That this is the age of the cheaters and the cheated, right? So that is abounding in all directions. But what determines that a jiva will be in some group and, you know, they have some interest, they want to know more, they want to find out what will fulfill them, all these things, right? So there may come, as Krishna told in the Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhai. He says, out of sahasreshu means 1,000. Out of 1,000 persons, one may endeavor for perfection, right? So we know that that's the case. But in Kali Yuga, the nature of Kali Yuga was told by the sages in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, first chapter, where they said, oh, Kali Yuga is coming. And then they began to enumerate what will be the condition of the jivas in the Kali Yuga. And they said, Prainal Payusha Sabhya Kalav Asmin Yuge Janaha Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hubadruta. So this means that in the Kali Yuga, that is now we're just on the verge of the beginning of Kali Yuga. At that time when they gathered in Naimisharanya, it was just at the beginning when Kali Yuga was about to start. And you know that they wanted to perform a 1,000-year sacrifice to prevent all of these from coming. They wanted to, they call it, counteract, you know, the effects of Kali Yuga that would be coming. So they said, yes, in this Kali Yuga that is now coming, the human beings, first symptom is that their lives will be shortened very greatly. Prayana alpa ayusha. Ayusha, it means the duration of your life is called ayusha. So prayana alpa ayusha. He said mostly, all persons' lives will become very short. Because we know that in the Dwapara Yuga they had 1,000-year life duration. So now it's being shortened to 100. So then, in addition to that, they will have the following 4 symptoms, the people in the Kali Yuga. You've probably heard this before. You heard this? Manda, Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya, Upadruta. Can you know what this means? 4 symptoms. First one is Manda.
Is that ignorant?
No. Lazy. Manda means lazy. Lazy means what? You're not willing to expend effort, energy. You're lazy. Whether it's on the mental level, intellectual level, physical level. But they're Manda in Kali Yuga. They're affected by the mode of ignorance. So Manda. Then the second symptom is Sumanda. So Manda and Sumanda Matayo. Sumanda Matayo means misguided. Here we come. People are very easily misguided in the Kali Yuga, right? Even on a political level, like we see what's happening now. I'm not going to get into it, but people are being really super misguided all over the world. But that's the nature of the Kali Yuga, you see. Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya. So there's 3 mandas. Manda, Sumanda Matayo, Sumanda, then Manda Bhagya. So Manda Bhagya means unfortunate. They are devoid of good fortune in the Kali Yuga. And then the last symptom is Upadruta. That means they're always very disturbed. Minds of the people and their worry and tension, and it's always disturbed in the Kali Yuga. So the sages were appealing to Sutta Goswami. Now that this is coming, what should be done? Because Sutta Goswami had heard the entire Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami, who's the son of Vyasadeva. And in the presence of Vyasa and tens of thousands of sages, Sutta Goswami heard Bhagavatam and remembered everything. That's why he's called Ugra Shrava. That means fierce, very fierce ability to remember. Nothing escapes. So, we're trying to show how even in present day, in this fallen condition, there's so many different philosophies, so many different suggestions. Now with the internet, you can multiply that times 10 million. Because everybody's got something to advise you on. Even if you try to watch some educational thing, there will be at least 10 to 20 interruptions during that time where they're trying to advertise that you need to have this and you need to have that. So this is the problem in the Kali Yuga, misguided. Now, so the path exhibited in the Shastras, like the Vedas, it is the one and the only true path. Nowadays, many new paths are being invented, but ultimately they disappear along with their acharyas, right? So now comes the 5th item in the list of 64. it says, inquiring about Sad-dharma. Our eternal function is called Sad-dharma, right? So inquiring about Sad-dharma. This is the fifth item of bhakti. For a sincere disciple, to inquire about dharma, this gives rise to bhakti. So if somebody's sincere, and they're trying to inquire, who am I? What is my eternal function? So, if that disciple is sincere, this very inquiry about dharma, it will give rise to bhakti. It will give rise to that. So therefore, the Narada Pancharatra is stating the following. I know this verse because it's the first verse spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Sanatana Goswami surrendered to Mahaprabhu and he inquired from him, who am I? Why am I suffering? That. Then Mahaprabhu spoke to him and he said, oh, this is the nature of the saintly persons. They inquire for the sake of others. You are like that. Actually, you know everything. So then he began to instruct Sanatana Goswami, and this is the first verse from the Narada Pancharatra that he told to Sanatana Goswami. He said, Achirad eva sarvarta, siddhyat yesham abhipsita, saddharmasyava bodhaya yesham nirbandhani mati. This is a very encouraging verse. It says, those whose minds are exceedingly anxious to know all about Saddharma, or the procedures of bhakti. To those persons, very quickly, they attain all their cherished goals. So what is that telling to us?
That we need to do that. We need to be anxious.
Yeah, yes. Because it says here, nirbandhani mati. Nirbandhani mati means completely fixed intelligence. This is what I have to attain. This is what I must come to know about. For a person like that, it says here, achirad eva sarvarta. Achirad means very soon, very quickly. All sarva arta, all siddhi, all perfection will that he's desiring, it will be obtained by that attitude, by this nirbandhani mati, exceedingly anxious to know about Sadhana. So, that's how Mahaprabhu begins his instructions to Sanatana Goswami. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is now illuminating this point. He's saying, just as fortunate persons desire to follow the conduct of the sadhus, they also desire to know their dharma. Not only to follow the conduct, but they want to know their dharma. This is for the fortunate persons. But unfortunate persons are just the opposite. Just as they search for newer and newer paths, different from those of the sadhus, they similarly disrespect the sadhus' established siddhanta, and they practice their own. They do not try to understand the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but rather they accept and they preach doctrines that are contradictory to them. You know that during Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time there were so many apasampradayas. So they do not understand, these people, they do not understand the horrific consequences of their erroneous preaching. Horrific consequences of their erroneous preaching. So sincere disciples, they make special endeavors to inquire about Saddharma, the eternal religion, bhakti. And if they are incapable of understanding it on their own, then they faithfully inquire about and understand it from their Siksha Guru. Such people quickly attain success in their sadhana. So the subtitle of the next section is called What is Subdharma? I'll just read a few passages from this because we're getting ready to have the Artik very soon now. Yes. So, now Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, what is Saddharma? What is it? He quotes the verse. Anya abhilashita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam, anukulyena krishnanu, shilanam bhaktir uttama. Service that is favorable to Krishna, free from desires other than the desire to serve him, such as those for worldly or heavenly pleasures. They're free from those desires other than to serve Krishna. And also that service that is not covered by karma and jnana is known as Uttama Bhakti. So until the aforementioned symptoms of pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, in the form of Saddharma, arise in the heart of an inquisitive person, his heart remains covered by darkness. In such a condition, he cannot understand what pure devotion is. If one depends on one's own speculation, then pure bhakti will never manifest. The majority of people think that they have understood the intrinsic nature of bhakti on the strength of their intelligence and their knowledge. These are the majority of the people. They think they have understood the intrinsic nature of bhakti on the strength of their intelligence and knowledge. But in reality, some of them have mistaken devotion mixed with impersonal knowledge, jnana mishra bhakti. And they have mistaken this devotion mixed with impersonal knowledge to be pure bhakti. Then others have mistaken devotional service mixed with both karma and jnana to be pure bhakti. They are so full of pride that after listening to the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, they express their view by saying, oh, everyone presents a proper conclusion according to his or her individual doctrine. Heard that before? What is the need to accept the conclusion of Chaitanya Charitamrita? We do not want to get entangled in the differences of opinion among various doctrines. One's own independent conclusions are certainly better. Such people have no relation with Saddharma. The result of performing their own concocted new process of devotion is that they can never relish pure devotion. Bas. Hare Krishna. So we want to relish pure devotion, we have to follow what the Mahajans have told. Gaur Premanandi. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai.
I don't want to be offensive, Maharaj. I was just remembering when I was listening to the class.